Hello, fancy seeing you here. Well, hello, friends. We're going to talk about Kieffer-Moore, Kieffer. That's two Fs in Kieffer and two Fs in what I thought when we were first linked with him. I'm joking, of course. Let's just be honest, though, that this is probably the most kind of Sheffield United striker that's never played for Sheffield United ever. And I think it was always inevitable that he would at one stage or many stages be linked with the Blades. So who is Kieffer-Moore? He's 31. He's tall. He's 6'5" or 195 centimetres, if you prefer it like that, and I don't. He's a striker, although when I was looking through his career, he has played 14 times as a centre-back. You know, like your Dion Dublins, your Chris Suttons. That's all I can think of. He's right-footed, a full Wales international. He's made 43 appearances for Wales, scoring 12 times, and 2 goals he's assisted in. Now, he's played for quite a lot of clubs. I'll probably get into some of the detail with these sides, but, you know, Truro, Dorchester, Yeovil, Viking, Forest Green Rovers. It starts to paint an interesting career that I think shows testament to his work ethic to get where he's eventually got in his career, because then you have Rotherham, Barnsley, Wigan, Cardiff, Ipswich, Bournemouth. You can see the trajectory. He's definitely a player who, in my opinion, has improved with age. Appearances, 141 goals in 443 appearances, 21 assists. Moore started his career with Conference South club Truro City, and he was a teen as part of Torquay's youth setup, but got that break at Truro City. Moved to Dorchester Town in 2013 due to Truro's financial difficulties, and he finished his first season in the Conference South with 20 goals. His goal-scoring record brought him to the attention of Yeovil Town. He signed with them in July of 2013, but he was then released, and he went all the way to Norway with Viking. He didn't do particularly well there and returned to English football with Forest Green Rovers. He had a loan spell back at his hometown club, Torquay United. He scored 5 in 4, so obviously they were keen to sign him, but it was actually Championship club Ipswich Town. He signed for them in January 2017. Before the beginning of that season, he was then sent on loan to Rotherham United, bagged 13 in 20 matches. 2018 went back to Ipswich, but they felt his career might be better suited elsewhere. So Championship rivals Barnsley, where he scored 23 goals in 55 plus 8 assists. That is really good numbers. And this is where it all started to click at that higher level for Kieffer-Moore. Then it was Wigan, 36 appearances, 10 goals. Cardiff City, 66 appearances, 25 goals, the most goals. That was his goaliest spell that he scored for any club, 25. Bournemouth, 46 appearances and 10 goals, playing in the Championship and also the Premier League. Kieffer-Moore, as many know, perhaps everyone watching this, spent the second half of last season on loan at Ipswich. So he'd been at Ipswich before. He went back to Ipswich Town. The Tractor Boys were fond of him in this second spell and his contribution. Many fans that I was reading about online praising his performances, the fact that he got stuck in, offered that outlet up top, his physical presence, and he contributed to 7 goals, 1 assist in there in just 18 appearances. So really not bad. I was having a look at a competition breakdown, so appearances, goals and assists. In the Championship, he's had 173 appearances, 54 goals and 15 assists. In League One, it's 83 appearances, 33 goals, 7 assists. In the National League, 37 appearances, 12 goals, 3 assists. And in the Premier League, 35 appearances, 5 goals. And if you're interested, in the FA Cup, 11 appearances, 5 goals, 1 assist. That FA Cup record is chef's kiss. Now, Kieffer was born in England, in Torquay, and had also represented England C before, as I mentioned, becoming a full Wales international at senior level. And he's eligible for Wales through his paternal grandfather. But before declaring for Wales, he could have actually played for China. The Chinese Football Association had tried to get in contact with Moore, and apparently there was using his Chinese ancestry of his maternal great-grandfather. Apparently, I read a few things that said he even went to Beijing to discuss the possibility, but that was not something he would pursue. And you might be able to recognise the middle name I mentioned earlier, Francisco. Well, Moore is also of Italian descent, so he was also eligible to represent Italy, but that was never seriously discussed. He's not injury prone as we get kind of back on track with the player, But he's had some injuries, as every player has, including a broken foot in the 21-22 season. He missed 84 days, around 19 games, with a couple of setbacks in that season. He also got a very nasty head injury. I remember hearing about this, listening to BBC Radio Sheffield. He was playing for Barnsley. He suffered it against Gillingham. There'll be Barnsley fans, of course, who'll remember this. And there was some real concern as he stayed in hospital for over a day with that one. Kieffer, though, is one of those players who, I mean, from what I've read, and certainly from some of the fans I've spoken to, is quite resilient. And he's also one of those players who I've highlighted before in a couple of videos here on Sheff United Way. As a player, I could see him fitting into certain systems for United, but it really will depend on the style of football and the formation United want to play, because he could work in a number of ways. And he kind of offers an alternative formation option, such as we could go, it's very unlikely, but we could go traditional 4-4-2, or our tried and tested formation. We could have 3 at the back. We could go 4-3-3 with him, in the middle of a 3 when you got the 2 wingers outside of him, kind of wingers/forwards. We'll see. I think he probably plays well with another player up top with him. We've already seen him play against us. We know what he's like with those flick-ons and setting others up. And from his goal return, he can also bag as well. Many have said he's an Ollie McBurnie type. He's not entirely the same, and I don't want to do a lazy comparison as they are. They're both tall, they're both strikers. But McBurnie is better with the ball at his feet from what I've seen. But we will see with Kieffer that he can achieve more in other areas. And I'll look at some percentiles, and I've shared before that when we're discussing percentiles, the higher the percentile, the better the player is at that specific thing. So 90% is good, for example, 10% would be bad. Kieffer is good at shooting. I think that is something that's borne out in his goal return, getting 3.39 shots off per 90 minutes. That's the 96th percentile for that one, with 44.2% of those being on target, which is okay, 79th percentile, whilst also outperforming his expected goals by 0.13 per 90, 91st percentile. This shows he's a clinical finisher in front of goal, stats-wise. Not always something I've witnessed from watching him with the eye test, it must be said. He ranked 46th in non-penalty expected goals per shot. You might think that sounds bad, but that essentially means he was shooting in situations where you wouldn't really expect him to score from. He's, unsurprisingly, 6'5", very good in the air, winning 6.87 aerial duels per 90. That's 98th percentile. That's really good. Having a success rate of 66.9%. That's incredible. That's the best of all championship strikers last season. That's useful in both boxes. I mentioned he'd played 14 times as a centre-back. Well, defending set pieces, that could be absolutely crucial. Also, to win flick-ons, play simple passes, that's what many sides need. That's what he can deliver. He can also link the play well, but he's not a dribbler. Don't expect him to get the ball down, take a man on. But I feel like he'd be best suited to playing up top with balls supplied from deep if we're playing wing-backs, or from out-and-out wingers, which again could signal a formation shift for United. There's been so much speculation in pre-season about what formation United are going to play, perhaps having multiple formations depending on the opposition. It'll certainly be interesting to see. Now, I would say neither Ollie McBurnie or Kieffer is necessarily better than the other, and I would say that actually complement each other. They both were at Barnsley at 2018, and Jake Staniland on SheffUnitedWay.com has tried to kind of reinforce this, and very grateful to him for doing this work. Check out SheffUnitedWay.com. He wrote this with an Ollie McBurnie comparison. When comparing Kieffer with Ollie McBurnie's 2022-23 championship campaign, you can see that the two are quite similar. McBurnie ranked in the 93rd percentile for non-penalty goals versus Moore's 91st. 97th for total shots versus Moore's 96th. 85th for shots on target versus Moore's 79th. And 68th for goals per shot versus Moore's 75th. In contrast to Moore, he was faced with slightly better shooting opportunities as he ranked in the 63rd percentile for non-penalty expected goals per shot. End quote. Thank you, Jake. So you've heard the stats, the comparison info for the two. You've got a measure of the player. What do you make of this, Blades fans? Let me know if you're watching on YouTube in the comments below. Please subscribe if you haven't already. It's free. And you can also leave us a review on iTunes if you're consuming this via audio podcast. Cheers for watching.